What's up, beautiful people? It's me again, Gravity of Natalie, coming back to you with another video. So, as you can clearly tell, I am in the nursery. The crib, the decor, yeah. However, although I'm in the nursery, I feel like this is the time to come to you guys and open up about my pregnancy, what that's been like, the different things that I've experienced and endured. And I will definitely tell you this, starting out, it's been interesting and it's been a journey. So, first things first, we're gonna kind of go back in time. My husband and I got married July 1st. We immediately went on our honeymoon and we ended up planning out, that we wanted to pretty much start our family as soon as possible, especially being that it's just something we both agreed on. But at least for us, we kind of knew what it is that we wanted to, go into and plan, at least for our future to come. So shortly after returning from our honeymoon, I ended up getting pregnant. I found out I was pregnant, I want to say about 2.5 weeks after I got back from my honeymoon. I was kind of experiencing like some mild like symptoms, but at the time I didn't know that I was pregnant, so I didn't really put two and two together like, oh, obviously this could be a possibility. But I was like, oh, I just feel so crappy. I went out with my friends at the time and, we had a good time. And unfortunately for me, I came home and I just was not feeling my normal self. Like, I got sick that night. My stomach was just kind of turning. And I'm like, oh God, I hope it's not, COVID or something. Because I've been down that road. But turns out, my husband was like, I don't know, maybe we should just like do a pregnancy test or something. So I took a pregnancy test, and at the time when I took it, he laughs at this now, but at the time when I took it, I was like, oh, maybe, maybe I am pregnant. I took it, guys, and it was negative. So needless to say, I was bummed out because I was like, oh, well, it's like you got my hopes up, you got me all like, oh, the possibility that I could be pregnant now. So, when it was negative, it was like, oh, but he was like, it doesn't work that fast. I was like, you got a point. Fast forward, I waited about another week and a half to take another pregnancy test, and it was positive. And even when it was positive, I was still in so much shock. Like, is this real? It is real. This is definitely something I wanted. I was super excited. I couldn't believe it. And that positive pregnancy test was like, I need to take another one. I don't know. Maybe this was a like false positive or whatever. So my husband and I went to the local pharmacy and got another pregnancy test. This time around, instead of doing the one where it's like a plus or minus or plus plus or whatever it is, I can't even remember. I needed a digital, confirmation of yes, pregnant or not pregnant, because, sometimes it's kind of hard to determine what those lines really mean. And for sure, it was pregnant. I'm definitely going to include the pictures that I took of the pregnancy test, because I was like sending it to, two of my friends and asking them, I was like, is this like for real? And they were like, yeah, it's definitely positive. So here we are, pretty much 8 months later, and she's going to be here pretty soon. But I did want to kind of be transparent and honest about some of the things that I endured, because I feel like everybody's pregnancy journey is obviously different and unique to them. However, there were certain things that I more or less experienced during my pregnancy that I don't feel like people necessarily told me about, or things that they went through themselves. There's a lot of stuff that you don't know about pregnancy until you actually experience it for yourself. So, needless to say, for me, during my first trimester, I had experienced terrible acne in the beginning of my first trimester. It just was really bad. Kind of a slight scare, I guess you could say. I had experienced the implantation bleeding, which I had no idea what that was prior to being pregnant. I thought, what I knew about pregnancy was like, okay, you get pregnant, you're sick for like a few months, and then next thing you know, you got a huge stomach, and then next thing you know, you're pushing your baby out and you're holding them and you're like in la la land. So yeah, no, it's definitely not that. But I definitely was a little frightened by the implantation bleeding, because I had originally thought like it was the M word. I don't want to say it, but you know what I'm talking about. And I was like, oh, what is this? So I ended up contacting my OBGYN, and I got a ultrasound that not only confirmed the pregnancy, which is pretty much routine. That's what they do once you find out that you're pregnant and it's a positive test. They do an ultrasound and they make sure that it's not a pregnancy that's like in your fallopian tubes or anything like that, or there isn't, any like additional complications, because sometimes when you have pregnancies like that, it's unfortunate, but for the health of the mother, it's better to terminate them earlier on versus trying to go through with it, and you can have severe bleeding complications and all that kind of stuff. So they did confirm the pregnancy, but I was, like I said, freaked out by the implantation bleeding, because, once you and your significant other find out like, oh my gosh, we're going to be expecting a baby, for a woman like myself, it's like, yeah, you expect to be bleeding every month for your menstrual cycle, but you do not expect to be bleeding once you actually receive a positive pregnancy test. That's a little daunting and a little terrifying. Like, let's be honest. So everything ended up being normal. I had obviously progressed through my pregnancy. That was, I want to say that was about the first month and a half that I had experienced the implantation bleeding, and it kind of freaked me out. Well, as I got further into my pregnancy during, the first trimester, I didn't realize how serious the morning sickness is. Like, at least for me. I can't speak on anybody else's pregnancy, but for me, it was pretty rough. So I felt nauseous 24/7, and I even, vomited. I want to say during my first trimester about like 10 times in total out of the 3 months. And to me, that was a lot. It was a lot to handle, because I don't like going through that. And I feel like they don't, like, I don't know if it's like doctors or maybe your friends or your mom or whomever, they don't tell you how crazy morning sickness can be. Like, I was so sick to the point where it affected like everything that I did, whether it was eating certain things that I thought I enjoyed, but the smell of them made me nauseous, or it was certain situations where it was like I ate something and it went good, but then shortly afterwards, a few moments later, it wasn't going so good. I found myself having to find alternative ways to kind of cope with my morning sickness, because at the time I was working in hospice care and it was very, very difficult. It was hard to, not only do my job, but also be nauseous and then have the potential to, be vomiting at any certain point. It's like, oh, I don't know, I was freaking out. But eventually the morning sickness went away. The things that I used to kind of cope with it was I used the pregnancy drops. It's like a candy that you can order off of Amazon. But, that helped for a good little while, but then eventually that stopped working. I still had morning sickness. I had nausea. I had like any and every little movement of my body. It was instant nausea and potential vomiting. So the things that pretty much helped me cope with it was, like I said, the pregnancy drops. I popped a lot of lemon heads. Pretty much what they say is lemon can help with nausea, but at the same time, you want to be careful because you don't want to be consuming an excessive amount of sugar, because obviously lemon heads are sugar. It's candy. But for me, I was like, listen, that's the only thing that is helping me get through this horrific spell of morning sickness, at least for a temporary time. So I decided, let's go with that. I also would drink tea. I would drink green tea, chamomile tea. Now, people say like technically when you're pregnant, you're not supposed to be drinking any like herbal tea or anything like that. But at least for me and my body, I knew what I could handle and what I could endure. I have a history of IBS, and chamomile tea is something that soothes my stomach, especially, if I was having a flare, but especially with the morning sickness, I noticed that it helped significantly. I didn't try to, consume excessive amounts of chamomile tea. It wasn't like I was drinking 4 or 5 cups a day or anything like that. Like, I would only drink it when I felt like, okay, my stomach or my morning sickness is just too bad right now. I really need something that's warm to kind of coat my stomach and just to help me feel like relaxed and stuff like that. So pretty much that helps a lot. And as I transitioned from my first trimester into the second trimester, I noticed a huge difference. I started to, feel better. I started to have like a little bit more energy to do things. I wouldn't say it was like that pregnancy burst of energy that everybody refers to. You typically only get that at the tail end of your second trimester into your third trimester. But I definitely did notice a lot of changes within my body itself. Just my stomach. I'm carrying small. But, everybody's body and pregnancy is beautiful. Everybody carries different. So, in a nutshell, it was like a little surprising as to how flat my stomach remained for majority of my pregnancy. To be quite honest, it didn't even look like I was pregnant at all, especially during the first 3 months of my pregnancy. I don't necessarily want to say, I don't think that my stomach truly started showing until honestly the tail end of my second trimester, and now that I'm in my third trimester. Now it's showing significantly more compared to what it was during the first trimester. So having said that, at least for me, I did a lot of research when it comes to different symptoms and treatments and things on how to treat myself, make myself feel more comfortable, especially during pregnancy, because that's another thing. You experience different forms of discomfort, and that looks different for everybody. But at least for me, you know, the discomforts that I've been experiencing throughout my pregnancy was fatigue during the first trimester, sleeping a lot during the first trimester, and the morning sickness. So those were all things that kind of transpired during my first trimester that I experienced. Maybe a lot of women have similar experiences. So going into the second trimester, I experienced another kind of daunting thing, you could say. I was going in for a regular routine checkup, which would occur every, I believe it's 3 or 4 weeks when you're in your second trimester. And then as you progressively get closer to your due date, your visits turn into every 3 to 4 weeks to every week and every something like that. It becomes more frequent. That's all I know. But pretty much I felt, you know, a little discomfort in my belly sometimes. So I went to my doctor, they did an ultrasound, and they freaked me out pretty much. They pretty much told me that I had a bulge in my placenta. And to me, I was like, what do you mean a bulge? Like, what does that mean? In a nutshell, pretty much what that means is when I had originally started experiencing the implantation bleeding or whatever, I guess it caused a blood clot to form in my placenta as the baby started to develop, and it started to kind of be displayed within the ultrasound. So they wanted me to go to a different, I guess, office or whatever to have a second level ultrasound because my practitioner didn't do second level ultrasound. So I went to a different, you know, clinic, and they conducted the second level ultrasound. And fortunately, you know, as the baby has grown an excessive amount, they have said that the blood clot was actually shrinking, which is a good thing. But it was kind of scary to be like, oh, a bulge in your placenta. I was like, what does that mean? Is there going to be complications? Am I going to like bleed out? You know, like, let me know what that means. So in a nutshell, the doctor informed me that it wasn't going to cause any severe complications with my pregnancy, the birth, or anything like that with the development of the baby. They just said, as the baby does progressively grow larger, the clot should shrink. And it has. I went back for another ultrasound after that one. They weren't even able to locate the clot. They were like, we don't even see it anymore. And I was just like, oh, thank you. You know? It's pretty crazy and amazing how a person can be already protective. I don't know if that's like our motherly instincts, at least when women get pregnant. Not all women may or may not experience this, but at least for me, I just had a serious maternal instinct to want to do any and everything to protect my baby, especially being that, you know, she's a part of me right now. She's inside of my body, and when she comes outside of my body, I'm gonna want to even do more to protect her, because now there's other things that could potentially harm her, obviously. But I just feel like, you know, it was very relieving to hear that the clot shrunk. And now that I'm pretty much in my third trimester, my symptoms have changed excessively from the first and the second. Now, more or less, what I'm experiencing is a lot of pressure that, you know, is down in the nether region. And I'm experiencing a lot of pressure and discomfort and a little bit of like an ache in my back. I feel like, wow, I feel pregnant now. I thought I felt pregnant during my first trimester, and then I was like, oh, I definitely feel pregnant during my second trimester. No. Wait until you hit the third trimester and you are just a few weeks away from potentially having your baby. Now you feel what every woman is talking about when they're like doing TikTok videos, going on YouTube, Instagram, and they're making those funny videos about how, you want to evict the baby from your body and stuff like that. No, because it's literally no joke. Like, my back is killing me. I can't wait to see my daughter, but I can't wait to be able to sleep on my side without my hips going numb, because that's another thing that I'm experiencing at the moment. I have to sleep with pillows in between my legs, a pillow wedge, a pillow behind my head. Like, pillows literally become your best friend when you're pregnant, and they are with you throughout your whole entire pregnancy. Now, one thing I did forget to mention that I had during my second trimester was the pregnancy pillow. That like horseshoe-like shaped pillow. And it worked for a little while. However, I started to feel like it was swallowing me whole, and there was no space for my husband in the bed. It's almost as if like there's a third person sleeping with you, except it's full of stuffing, So I decided there has to be a better way for me to sleep comfortably, for him to have space in our bed. So I decided to get the pregnancy wedge, which I will show you guys what it looks like. And it's so much more convenient, especially as your belly is progressively growing. You have, that elevation, that support, but also you don't have that feeling of feeling like you're being swallowed up alive by a pillow. So, I just wanted to kind of come here and be honest with you guys about, the things that I have been enduring throughout my pregnancy. It's definitely been very, very interesting. I mean, at least for me, since I knew I was pregnant, I did download an app to kind of track my pregnancy. I definitely recommend downloading an app so that you guys can, check to see the comparison, whether it's like a fruit or like normally they can use like different candy or descriptions of figures in a movie to describe on a week-to-week basis the size of your baby. I think that's pretty cute. You can track to see what size they are throughout the weeks, and it gives you tips and tricks and things to kind of cope with whatever it is that you're enduring. At least on the app that I'm on, I really like that app. It helps a lot. In addition to, there is a discussion forum where, let's say you come across a symptom, it's like, I don't know, in the middle of the night and the office of your doctor is closed, but yet you want to be able to either A, ask somebody directly who could potentially respond, you can, or you can just kind of search and see if anybody has experienced, something like that and what did they do to cope with it. But I definitely, just wanted to come and be transparent with you guys about my experience. This is my first pregnancy ever. Definitely not going to be my last. I plan on having a decent sized family, especially with my husband. I definitely want to keep you guys in the loop and updated, once I transition and go into labor in the weeks to come. I'm definitely planning on documenting my birth experience and story, and then I'm definitely going to want to come back and talk about that and what that was like for me. So, keep me in your prayers, and I wish healthy, happy babies on all you moms out there that definitely want to become pregnant. You know, for the mamas out there that are looking to conceive, you know, don't give up, keep at it. I definitely recommend at least, you know, do your research, check out different things. There's alternative ways to conceive. I don't know, like maca root. You can use, you know, meditation, all these different kinds of things. At least for me, you definitely, you know, you want to make the conception of a baby and your family growing something, I don't know, special. So you don't want to have yourself in a high stressful situation, because typically your body is, it's not going to relax for you to conceive. So I just want to say thank you guys for watching my videos. The sun is clearly, you know, I'm like trying to hang in there. But thank you guys for watching my videos. I really appreciate it. Like, comment, and subscribe down below. Tell me, like, what are some symptoms that you guys have experienced throughout your pregnancy? Has it been anything crazy or weird or anything like that? I definitely want to hear it. So thanks for watching, guys. Love ya.